Hello friends, welcome to my channel. The Philippines is one of the most Spanish-speaking countries in the world. No wait, let me rephrase that. The Philippines is a country with a significant number of people who speak Spanish, but it's not really spoken on a national level. If you're like me and find this super confusing, don't worry. Today we unravel this little linguistic mystery and find out why, despite the fact that the Philippines was under Spanish rule for over 300 years. Longer than many Latin American nations, Spanish isn't widely spoken there today. Before we begin, if you think this topic is interesting, just make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you won't miss any new videos. Also, feel free to leave a comment below about what other topics you want us to discuss. So without further ado, let's get started. As mentioned earlier, the Philippines has a long history of Spanish influence, lasting from 1565 to 1898. During this time, Spain exerted control over various aspects of life, including language, religion, and culture. However, despite centuries of Spanish presence, only a small percentage of Filipinos can speak Spanish today. This raises the question, where did all those years of Spanish rule go? Well, here are several reasons. Prioritizing religious conversion. Like their counterparts in Latin America, the Spanish crown had different priorities for the Philippines. Their primary focus was on converting Filipinos to Catholicism, rather than assimilating them into Spanish culture. This is evident in the use of local languages for religious instruction. For example, the Catholic clergy translated religious texts into Filipino languages such as Tagalog and Cebuano, facilitating the spread of Christianity among the masses. This approach differed from the policies implemented in Latin America, where the use of Spanish was central to the process of evangelization. By focusing on religious conversion through local languages, the Spanish authorities aimed to minimize cultural disruption while expanding the reach of Christianity. However, this strategy also contributed to the limited use of Spanish in the Philippines. Limited Spanish settlement. Another reason for the limited use of Spanish in the Philippines is the absence of a substantial Spanish settler population. Unlike many Latin American countries which experienced significant migration of Spaniards during colonial times, the Philippines did not attract large numbers of European settlers. This is partly because the Spanish authorities viewed the Philippines as a source of wealth rather than a destination for settlers. They focused on extracting resources such as gold and later in the 19th century, sugar, tobacco, hemp, and coffee. As a result, the Spanish presence in the Philippines remained primarily military and administrative rather than a dispersed and integrated settlement pattern. This lack of integration limited opportunities for the widespread adoption of Spanish among the local population. Education and power dynamics. During the Spanish colonial period, education was largely confined to the elite class, including the hijos de Españoles, which were Spaniards born in the Philippines, peninsulars, which were Spaniards born in Spain, and mestizos, which were people of mixed Spanish and Filipino ancestry. These groups had access to Spanish language education, as it was associated with higher social status and greater opportunities. However, the vast majority of Filipinos, who were predominantly indigenous, had limited access to formal education and therefore did not learn Spanish. This limited the language's reach to a small segment of the population. Furthermore, Spanish was primarily used as the language of administration and governance during the colonial period. It was the language of the ruling elite and the government bureaucracy. Meanwhile, local languages continued to be prevalent in everyday interactions and local governance. This linguistic divide between the rulers and the ruled has contributed to the persistence of local languages and the limited use of Spanish outside official and educational settings. American influence. After the Spanish colonial period, Philippines came under American rule from 1898 to 1946. During this time, English became the dominant language of administration, education, and commerce. This shift was part of the American policy to integrate the Philippines into the global capitalist system and prepare it for eventual independence. The Americans introduced English as the medium of instruction in schools, which replaced Spanish as the primary language of learning. Consequently, younger generations of Filipinos who received their education during the American period were more proficient in English than in Spanish. The American influence on language is evident in various aspects of Filipino culture, including literature, media, and even everyday expressions. As the Philippines transitioned to independence, English continued to hold a prominent position, further marginalizing Spanish in everyday life. Linguistic diversity. The Philippines is an archipelago comprised of thousands of islands, each with its own unique cultural traditions and languages. This linguistic diversity poses a challenge to the widespread adoption of any single language, including Spanish. During the Spanish colonial period, the Philippines was home to numerous indigenous languages, including Tagalog, Cebuano, Ilocano, and many others. These languages served as the primary means of communication among diverse communities throughout the archipelago. While Spanish was introduced and used in various contexts, it did not supplant the multitude of local languages. In fact, the Spanish authorities recognized this linguistic diversity and even encouraged the use of local languages in some instances. This linguistic landscape contributed to the limited use of Spanish, as it faced competition from a wide range of local languages. Changing identity. Over time, Filipinos have developed a distinct national identity, shaped by various historical, cultural, and linguistic influences. While the Spanish colonial period had a profound impact on Philippine history, Filipino identity has evolved to encompass elements from different cultures, including indigenous traditions, Spanish, and American influences. This evolving identity has contributed to the marginalization of Spanish as a defining characteristic of the nation. Filipinos today celebrate their heritage through a blend of languages and customs. Recognizing the complexities of their history and choosing to prioritize their evolving national identity over the legacy of colonial rule. In conclusion, the limited use of Spanish in the Philippines today can be attributed to a confluence of factors that emerged during and after the Spanish colonial period. While Spain prioritized religious conversion over linguistic assimilation, the lack of a significant Spanish settler population, restricted education and power dynamics, and the emergence of American influence during the 20th century all played a role in shaping this linguistic reality. Additionally, the Philippines' linguistic diversity and the evolving nature of Filipino identity have contributed to the marginalization of Spanish. Despite the historical significance of Spanish rule, the Philippines has moved towards embracing its unique cultural heritage and prioritizing its evolving national identity. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future videos. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.